If you are a manual tester who keeps hearing that automation is mandatory, but every time you try to start, you feel lost, this video is for you. Maybe you have already watched a few Selenium or Playwright videos. Maybe you even tried coding and gave up. The problem is not your capability. The problem is the way automation is usually taught. In the next few minutes, I will show you a simple, realistic roadmap that actually works, especially for manual testers. Let's be honest for a moment. Manual testing alone has limited long-term growth. And that is not an insult, okay? It's just how the industry is moving. But automation is not about moving tools. Tools change every few years. You know, there was UFT and then Selenium came and then Playwright came. Something else will keep coming. What really matters is how you think, how you structure tests, and how you solve problems. Most people fail because they learn randomly. One YouTube video today, one Udemy course tomorrow, one GitHub framework that they don't even understand. Yeah, so that is all random learning. Okay, that is creating the confusion, not confidence. Okay. So here is the roadmap. Just 5 steps. Not 10 tools, not 5 frameworks. 5 steps that build on each other logically. Programming basics, one automation tool, framework basics, one real project, and interview preparation. If you follow this order, automation becomes manageable. Step 1 is programming basics. And this is where many people make their first mistake. You only need enough programming to write automation tests. That's all. You are not learning to become a hacker, okay? Or some, big shot developer. You just need to learn enough programming so that you can write automation tests. Pick Java, Python, just pick one. That's it. Learn variables, loops, conditions, functions, basic collections. Okay, understand how code flows from top to bottom. You do not need, data structures and algorithm or competitive coding. Step 2. Choose one automation tool and stay loyal to it for now. Selenium or Playwright. Both are fine. But pick one. What matters is how, when you understand the basics, you should be comfortable locating elements, performing actions like click and type and handling weights. Most flaky tests happen because you don't understand weights properly. Mastering one tool deeply is far more valuable than touching 5 tools superficially. Now comes framework basics. This sounds scary, but actually it's not. A framework is just an organized way of writing tests so that they don't become messy. That's all. Okay, so let's break it down. There are some design patterns you should follow. For UI testing, the most common one is page object model. This is the heart of automation framework. Each page of the application gets its own class. Page classes contains locators and actions, not test logic. This separation makes tests readable and easy to maintain. So you got to learn about that. Next is test runners. Each language they have their own test runners. If you go to Java, they have test NG, JUnit, Python, we have PyTest. You go for TypeScript, they have Jest. So these are just test runners, and they are very important. Okay, they help you organize tests, run them, group them, and get results. You don't need to know everything about it. Okay, like annotations, basic assertions, and executions flow. These are just enough, far more than enough for you when you are starting at the beginner level. You don't need to go and master this entire thing. That is not all required. Just learn about annotations, basic assertions, and execution flows. That's it. Why framework exists? Framework exists to avoid duplication, reduce maintenance effort, and scale automation. Without a framework, automation becomes unmanageable very quickly. So that is why it is very important to understand the importance of a framework. This step is where automation finally clicks. Okay, so it's very important. Okay, you need to pick a real e-commerce website. Okay, not a demo site. For your practice purpose, I'm telling you. Understand it completely. Okay, define one end-to-end flow. Okay, set up a real automation project using Maven and TestNG. You create your own driver setups, base classes, test classes, utilities, listeners, reportings. You add assertions, screenshots. Then you push the project to Git. You can create your own local account there, and you can create, you can push that project to Git, your project which is there in your local system, that you can push to Git. You can run it using Jenkins. But from step to step 9, this is very crucial, and This depends upon project to project. Now comes interview preparation. Interviewers don't expect perfection, they expect understanding. Yeah, you should be able to explain your framework. That is very important. Okay? You should be able to explain your framework very clearly. Why you used base object model, how you have handled failures, and what challenges you have faced. They will be very much interested in challenges you have faced. There will be definitely a question from that. So if you can explain your project clearly, half of the interview is already won. Confidence comes from building, breaking, and fixing things yourself. That you can do when you keep repeating and working on the real-time project of your own. Let me call out some common mistakes. First one is learning too many tools at the same time. As I already mentioned, that do not try to learn, all the tools. There are many tools available in the market, and when you look at some openings, you'll see like 10, 20 tools are already mentioned there, and you try to start learning all of them at once. Do not do that. Okay, pick one, master it, and then move on to the next one. Second is copying GitHub framework without understanding a single line. This is the most common mistake. Don't do that. Okay. Then ignoring fundamentals like weights and assertions. You need to cover your basics. If you have understood the fundamentals, why we are doing that, what is the approach, when we need to go for that approach, in which situations, all these things, if you understand, basically the fundamentals part, then everything will be, easy peasy for you. Otherwise, you'll struggle in each and every step. So don't ignore fundamentals. And the final one is the biggest mistake that people do is waiting to feel ready. You will never be ready. Okay, so you start first, and then readiness will follow. So if you want a practical and step-by-step automation guidance without confusion, you can subscribe to this channel. Okay, I assure you that there will be no hype, no shortcuts, and just real learning in this channel.